Hare Krishna, Kaustubh Prabhu. Can you, will you be able to start the camera, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are very fortunate to have the association of Grace Kaustubh Ramanuja Prabhu, who will be sharing the nectar from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 5, chapter number 90, Sloka number 3 and 4. Prabhuji, over to you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I offer my obeisances to all the Vaishnavas in this assembly. We are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam in our daily discussions of Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, our service of hearing and speaking from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 19th chapter, text number 3 and 4 today. So we'll start with the prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नाम्ने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। I'm just sharing my screen. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 19th chapter, text number 3. So it's a beautiful chapter that has just been started. This is actually a continuation of the previous chapter of the descriptions of the 8 varshas. So in the previous chapter we saw the description of I think 6 of those varshas from Bhadrashva Varsha till Uttarakuru Varsha. Bhadrashva Varsha where Lord Hayagriva is worshipped by all the residents, and till Uttarakuru Varsha where I think Lord Hari is worshipped. So continuing, 2 other varshas are discussed in this chapter. The main intention of this chapter as per Acharyas is to discuss the glory of Bharata Varsha, the place where we are staying. So that's the main intention. But before that, the glory of another Varsha where Lord Rama is the predominating deity who is worshipped by Hanuman and everybody else is discussed. And that Varsha, as all of you know, is Kim Purusha Varsha, a very beautiful description of the prayers of Lord Hanuman, prayers of Hanuman to Lord Ramachandra, and prayers of Hanuman along with all the other residents of Kim Purusha Varsha. It feels like discussing Rama Leela when we are discussing all of these verses. It feels like going back to the first few verses of Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana, where Lord Rama's wonderful qualities, the 16 qualities are described. So it's a beautiful section of the Srimad Bhagavatam. One of the few sections of the Srimad Bhagavatam where Rama Leela is discussed. The pastimes of Lord Ramachandra are discussed. So predominantly it comes in the 9th canto where 2 entire chapters are dedicated for the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. Apart from that, there are a few other places, very few places actually. This is one of those places where beautiful prayers of Hanuman to Lord Ramachandra are described. So we are in the 3rd verse. I'll recite the verse. This verse doesn't have a purport, so we will just discuss in brief about this verse and then go to the next verse. So Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 19th chapter, text number 3 says, Om Namo Bhagavate Uttama Shlokaya Namaha Arya Lakshana Shila Vrataya Namaha Upashikshita Atmane Upasita Lokaya Namaha Sadhuvada Nikashanaya Namaha Brahmanya Devaya Mahapurushaya Maharajaya Namaha Iti. So this is the prayer of Hanuman and all the residents of Kim Purusha Loka. Iti. So the iti means thus. Thus did pray Hanuman along with all the residents of Kim Purusha Loka to Lord Ramachandra. And Lord Ramachandra is described here as Uttama Shloka. There are many, many adjectives that are given for Lord Ramachandra over here. I'm sorry, I'm showing the Devanagari. I think it's better to show the English. Yeah. So Uttama Shloka. All of us know the meaning of Uttama Shloka. One who is glorified by the choicest of poetry. So Ramayana, as all of you know, is considered to be the Adi Kavya. Adi Kavya means the first poetic composition that is known to mankind. And Valmiki Muni is known as Adi Kavi. So therefore, he is glorified as Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam. It's a very famous verse. It is recited by every Rama Kathakara at the beginning before he starts to recite or to speak on Ramayana. So this verse is a beautiful verse where Valmiki is compared to a cuckoo. Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam. Kokila is nothing but a cuckoo. So the cuckoo named Valmiki. So what is the cuckoo doing? The cuckoo generally sings, right? It doesn't keep quiet. Of course, it may stay quiet during other months, but when the Vasanta Kala comes, when the Vasanta Rutu comes, that is the time when the cuckoo sings so beautifully. It sings in such a manner that it attracts everybody. Of course, Kujantam doesn't necessarily mean singing. It is actually kind of calling. It's kind of a call. So that is the time when it calls out. Of course, it is the modern science says that the male cuckoo calls out for the female and for intercourse like that. But that apart, the fact remains that the cuckoos call out very beautifully. So therefore, Valmiki similarly is actually calling out the names of Rama very beautifully. So the cuckoo, just hearing whatever it speaks, is actually so beautiful. What to speak of a cuckoo named Valmiki calling out, right? Because Valmiki is considered the best of poets, the first of poets and the best of poets also. And when he calls out, he doesn't call out any normal name, but he calls out the names of Lord Rama. So Kujantam Rama Rama iti. Rama Rama iti Kujantam. He is calling out so beautifully with such a fine voice the names of Lord Rama. Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam. And what is that word called Rama? It is explained that Vasishtha, when he did the name-giving ceremony to all the 4 brothers, thereafter, when Vishwamitra took Rama and Lakshmana with him in order to vanquish the demons headed by Maricha and Subahu. At that point in time, it is explained that the next morning, so the next morning means the next morning after he took Rama and Lakshmana from Ayodhya and he was in the forest, the next morning when he woke up before Rama and Lakshmana woke up. So when he wanted to go and wake up Lord Rama, that is the time he recites the very famous verse which is recited by, recited in many homes. Kausalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravartate Uttishta Narashardula Kartavyam Daivam Anhikam. That is the time he recites that verse. And there, of course, this verse has a very elaborate meaning, but there it is explained that Vishwamitra wanted to see whether the name Rama is appropriate to Lord Rama or not, or whether there can be any other name which can be more appropriate to Lord Rama. Because many acharyas explain that, Vishwamitra always was in a state of competition with Vasishtha. Of course, before he was envious, but after he became a Brahmarshi and Vasishtha came and acknowledged Vishwamitra's position as a Brahmarshi, thereafter he still retained that competitive mentality. He was not envious anymore, but just as devotees also have some competitive mentality amongst each other. So he wanted to see whether he can give any name to Rama that can be more appropriate to his personality than the name Rama. Then it is explained that, the commentator Govinda Raja on the Ramayana, he says that he tried to, think a lot. He used everything at his disposition. He used all the shastric logic and everything, but he could not come up with a better name than Rama for Lord Rama. And therefore, it said that he accepted that Lord Rama cannot have a better name than Rama. So that Rama is Madhuram, Madhuraksharam. It is so wonderful. It's so Madhura means sweet. Madhura means sweet. That is the word. So it is so sweet, and not just the word is sweet, but every syllable within that word. Of course, it has only 2 syllables. But if you say akshara, there are 4 aksharas. That is, there is ra, which is a vyanjana, then a, then m, and a. So there are 4 aksharas. So each akshara is so wonderful, and therefore the name Rama is explained as Ramante Yoginaha Anante Satyanande Chidatmani Iti Rama Padenasau Param Brahma Vidiyate. This is a verse which many acharyas quote. We can see over here. I am just showing the commentary of Sri Veera Raghavacharya, and it is quoted by Prabhupada in many of his commentaries, many of his purports, right? So Rama is explained as Ramante Yoginaha Anante. Anante Yoginaha Ramante. Such a beautiful description. Ananta is a name for the Lord, who is infinite. So in him who is infinite, yogis who are completely self-realized, they revel in such a Ananta. So Anante Yoginaha Ramante Nityanande. And what kind of personality is he? He is described as Ananta and Nityananda and Chidatman. He is always in bliss and is always full of knowledge, right? And therefore, iti Rama padena asau param brahma abhidiyate, and therefore he is called as Rama. His name of Rama is addressed to him because he is Ananta, he is Nityananda, and he is Chidatman. It's just like saying Satchidananda. Sat means eternal, Ananta. Next, Chit means Chidatman, which is over here. Then Nityananda is Ananda. So therefore, he is called as Rama. Right? So there is a beautiful description of why he is called as Rama. So Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam. Why is Valmiki addressed as the Adikavi? Because he has sat himself down on the tree called Ramayana, and there in the tree also he has sat on a particular branch called Kavita Shakha, a particular branch called poetry. And from there, he is loudly calling out the names of Lord Rama. So therefore, he is called Rama. Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that before going ahead in this verse. Of course, these 2 verses, I don't know how I'll complete them in just 45 minutes, because it's a very elaborate verse and purport is also very, very elaborate. We'll see how much we can cover. Let me go back to the verse. Yeah. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Uttama Shlokaya Namaha Arya Lakshana Shila Vrataya. So, each of these words is having a very deep meaning. So, again, for the first word that was used to address Rama is Uttama Shloka. Second word that is used over here by Hanuman is Arya Lakshana Shila Vrata. Arya Lakshana. Arya Lakshana means he has the qualities of the Aryas. That means he has the noble qualities that one can aspire for. He has all the noble qualities that one can aspire for. And this is how the Ramayana begins. Many of you must be aware that the Valmiki Ramayana begins with a conversation, as in most of the scriptures, between Narada and Valmiki. And Valmiki asks questions while describing 16 qualities. He says, Konvasmin sampradam loke gunavan kashtaviryavan dharmajnashta kritajnashta satyavakyo dridhavrataha charitrena chako yuktaha sarvabhuteshu kohitaha vidvan kaha kas samarthashta kashtaika priyadarshanaha atmavan ko jitakrotaha Jutiman ko nasuyakaha kasya bibhyati devashcha jataroshasya sanyuge. These are the 16 qualities that are described by Valmiki, and each of these qualities is elaborated in pages and pages of commentaries by the Acharyas. So, Lord Rama is full of all qualities. Suffice to say that for now, Namaha Upashikshita Atmane. Upashikshita Atmane means Atman here refers to the mind. All of you know that Atman can have many, many different meanings. As in the Bhagavad Gita also, it refers sometimes to the soul. Most of the times it refers to the soul. Sometimes it also refers to the intelligence or to the ego or to the mind. Apart from the soul, predominantly it is used in reference to the mind. So therefore, Namaha Upashikshita. Upashikshita means controlled. One who has his mind completely under control. This we can completely be rest assured, right? Anybody who has heard even once the pastimes of Lord Rama can be rest assured that he has his mind completely in control, and therefore he is the best person to be followed, and therefore he is called as Maryada Purushottama. He sets an example for all humanity to follow, right? Many of us have heard the statement that, follow Lord Rama's life and follow Lord Krishna's teachings, right? Of course, Lord Rama's teachings also we have to follow, but we cannot follow Lord Krishna's life. It is very difficult to enumerate that. But therefore, it is better to follow in the footsteps of Lord Rama and follow Lord Krishna's teachings as they are given in the Bhagavad Gita. And then next adjective that is given is Upasita Lokaya, one who is worshipped by all the three worlds. Next, Namaha Sadhuvada Nikashanaya is a very beautiful word that is used by Hanuman here. Sadhuvada Nikashana. Nikashana is actually a stone that is used to measure the fineness or the genuineness of other stones. Of course, here Prabhupada translates it as such stone.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, sorry to interrupt you, Prabhuji. I think your video is not on.
Oh, acha. I think it's because I'm sharing. I don't know.
Apology for the interruption, Prabhu. If it is not possible, that's okay.
I'm just come back, bro. I'll just come back. I think after I shared, the video went away. I'll just reshare now so that.
Okay, bro. Sorry to interrupt you, Prabhu. Kindly go.
No problem. It's because I guess I'm using a phone, not a laptop. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu.
I think now should be coming. Yeah. Is my video coming now, bro, after I shared the screen?
No, Prabhuji, but that's okay. Please carry on. I think video stopped again. I think it may be the
I don't know what's the reason. Yeah. Okay, maybe after some time I'll stop the screen share and then I guess my video should come.
Okay, please carry on.
Okay. So, yeah. Namas Sadhuvada Nikashanaya. So, Nikashana is a stone, Ashma. That's how the Acharyas also explain. Nikashana, Ashma, Sthana Nirdharanaya. Nirdharana Sthanaya. That's how the commentary says. Nirdharana Sthanaya means the one instrument that is used to measure the Nirdhara. Nirdhara means to decide whether other instruments or other things are of proper quality or not. So therefore, Lord Rama's life is like that. What do you call? There is a word. is like that the perfect life, seeing which we can decide for ourselves whether we are doing things properly or not. Right? I'm that word is skipping my mind. The one which is used to measure other things, right? So anyway, so Lord Rama's life is so perfect that it is used to measure whether it can be used to gauge and to judge for ourselves whether we are in the right path or not. And then he says, Namaha Brahmanya Devaya. Brahmanya Devaya. So here, Veera Raghavacharya mentions one shloka from the Ramayana. I would just like to show it to you. Yeah, here it comes. Yeah, the third verse, right? So why is this word Brahmanya Deva used? So Brahmanya, as we often recite Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya. So Lord Krishna or Lord Rama is actually very, very benevolent and very dear to the Brahmanas, right? So in as a pramana to this, from the Ramayana, one verse is quoted by Veera Raghavacharya. You can see over here. Apyaham Jivitam Jahyam Tvam Va Site Salakshmanam Natu Pratigyam Samshrutya Brahmanebhyo Visheshataha. So this is a verse that Lord Rama says in the Kishki. I'm sorry, in the Aranya Kanda. Aranya Kanda is the third Kanda. So Ramayana has 7 Kandas. Many of you know, starting with Bala Kanda, Ayodhya Kanda, Aranya Kanda, Kishkindha Kanda, Sundara Kanda, Yuddha Kanda, and finally there is the Uttara Kanda. So in the Aranya Kanda, where there are Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita are in the forest, when they go to meet Agastya Rishi and other rishis, at that time, Lord Rama says this verse. He says that I can give up my life, or I can give up even you. He says to Sita. So Sita is an address to Sita. So he says, I can give up my own life, or I can give you up, give up you. You is more dear to me than even my life, or I can give up even Lakshmana. He says. Salakshmanam. I can give up my life, or I can give you up, or I can give up even Lakshmana. But I can never give up a promise that I have made to Brahmanas. Natu pratigyam samshrutya. A promise that I have made, or a resolution that I have made, especially Brahmanebhyo Visheshataha, that I can never give up. Right? So this is not to say that Lord Rama will give up Sita or Lakshmana, but it goes to show how much he values the promise that he has made to Brahmanas. Right? That is the time when he makes the promise actually of killing Ravana and everybody else. So therefore, he is addressed as Brahmanya Devaya by Hanuman. Mahapurushaya. This doesn't require any explanation. We have an entire Purushottama Yoga in the 15th chapter, which goes to show how Lord is Purushottama. Mahapurusha or Purushottama both mean the same thing. Maharajaya Namaha. And he is a Maharaja. Lord Rama, for how many years did he rule Ayodhya? Can anybody say? I'm sure everybody knows. I'm just asking. How many years did he rule Ayodhya, Lord Rama? Anybody wants to say the answer, or you want to take a guess?
40,000 years.
40,000? No, not exactly 40,000. Little less than
10,000. 10,000.
10,000. Yeah, you are very close. It is actually 11,000 years. So Ramayana says, Shatavarsha, Dashavarsha Sahasrani, Dashavarsha Shatani cha. Dashavarsha Sahasrani means 10 multiplied by 1000, that is 10,000, plus Dashavarsha Shatani cha. 10 multiplied by 100 is 1,000. So 10,000 plus 1,000 is 11,000 years. So he ruled over the entire Mother Earth for 11,000 years, and therefore is addressed as Maharaja. So without going to the synonyms, I will directly go to the translation because we need to do another verse. So the translation says, let me please your lordship by chanting the Bija Mantra Omkara. So you have seen since the last chapter itself that every prayer of every resident of all of these varshas has a Bija Mantra with the Omkara, right? So it starts with the Bija Mantra, and then all the qualities of that particular predominating deity of that particular planet is described. So therefore here again Hanuman says, let me please your lordship by chanting the Bija Mantra Omkara. I wish to offer my respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, who is the best among the most highly elevated personalities. Your Lordship is the reservoir of all the good qualities of Aryans, people who are advanced. Your character and behavior are always consistent, and you always control your senses and mind. Acting just like an ordinary human being, you exhibit exemplary character to teach others how to behave. There is a touchstone that can be used to examine the quality of gold, but you are like a touchstone that can verify all good qualities. You are worshipped by Brahmanas, who are the foremost of all devotees. You, the Supreme Person, are the King of Kings, and therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So, whatever we discussed, it is a wonderful translation of Srila Prabhupada, right? So, every word is taken and is translated by Srila Prabhupada. So, now that we have discussed the third verse, we'll be going to the fourth verse. This is again a wonderful prayer of Hanuman. So let us recite this prayer. If anybody would like to recite behind me, you can recite behind me. So I will recite the first line. Somebody can recite the entire verse behind me. Okay. So yattad vishuddhanubhava matramekam
यत्तद् विशुद्धानुभवमात्रम् एकम्
स्वतेजसाध्वस्त गुणव्यवस्थम्
स्वतेजसा ध्वस्तगुणव्यवस्थम्
प्रत्यक् प्रशान्तं सुधियोपलम्भनम्
प्रत्यक् प्रशान्तम् सुधियोपलम्बनम्
ह्यनामरूपं निरहं प्रपद्ये.
ह्यनाम रूपम् निरहं प्रपद्ये. Thank you.
Once more we'll recite the same verse. Yattad vishuddhanubhavamatramekam
यत्तत् विशुद्धानुभवमात्रमेकम्
स्वतेजसाध्वस्त गुणव्यवस्थम्
स्वतेजसा ध्वस्तगुणव्यवस्थम्
प्रत्यक् प्रशान्तं सुधियोपलम्भनम्
प्रत्यक् प्रशान्तं सुधियोपलम्बनम्
ह्यनामरूपं निरहं प्रपद्ये.
ह्यनामरूपमिरहं प्रपद्ये. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is again a wonderful prayer by Hanuman. So let us see the synonyms and we'll read the purport, translation and purport, and while reading the purport itself, we'll discuss. So synonyms say Yat, which, Tat, to that supreme truth, Vishuddha, transcendentally pure, without contamination. Oh, I'm sorry. Transcendently pure, without contamination by material nature. Anubhava, experience. Matram, that Satchidananda transcendental body. Ekam, the one. Swatejasa, by his own spiritual potency. Dhvasta, vanquished. Gunavyavastham, the influence of the modes of material nature. Pratyak, transcendental, not to be seen with material eyes. Prashantam, undisturbed by material agitation. Sudhiya, by Krishna consciousness or purified consciousness, uncontaminated by material desires, fruitive activities, and speculative philosophy. Upalambhanam, who can be achieved? He, indeed. Anamarupam, without a material name and form. Niraham, without a material ego. Prapadye, let me offer my respectful obeisances. Translation: the Lord, whose pure form, Satchidananda Vigraha, is uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, can be perceived by pure consciousness. In the Vedanta, he is described as being one without a second. Because of his spiritual potency, he is untouched by the contamination of material nature. And because he is not subjected to material vision, he is known as transcendental. He has no material activities, nor has he a material form or name. Only in pure consciousness, Krishna consciousness, can one perceive the transcendental form of the Lord. Let us be firmly fixed at the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra, and let us offer our respectful obeisances unto those transcendental lotus feet. So, beautiful verse. We'll read the purport. Before that, let us just try to look at the wonderful words and the adjectives that Hanuman is using over here. So, first adjective that is using is Vishuddha Anubhava Matram Ekam. Ekam. So, Ekaha Advitiyaha is a word that is very often used in Vedanta literature. Ekaha. He is one, and he has nobody resembling him. Apaurusheyaha. And I'm sorry, Asamordhvaha. Asamordhva means he has nobody equal to him or greater than him. So, Ekaha, right? So, therefore, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. So, amongst all the Nityas, he is one Nitya. So, Nityanam is in plural and Nityaha is in singular. So, there are many Nityas or eternals, because every Jiva is eternal. All of us are also eternal. But amongst all the Nityas, there is one Nitya, who is that Supreme Lord. And Chetanas Chetananam. Amongst all the Chetanas, there is one Chetana. Why? Because Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kama. This one Nitya or one Chetana is actually providing for the necessities of all the other Nityas and Chetanas. So therefore is Ekaha. Vishuddha Anubhava Matram. So he can be realized only by Vishuddha. Vishuddha Sattvam. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. Lord Shiva tells Parvati in the 4th canto, this is a very famous verse. He says, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. That Supreme Personality is addressed by the name Vasudeva. Why? Because he can be realized only in the state of Vasudeva. Just as Vasudeva and Devaki, they begot Krishna because they were in the right consciousness and they were in pure Krishna consciousness. And therefore, Lord Krishna can be realized in our hearts also in a similar manner if we have that kind of Vishuddha Sattvam. Vishuddha Sattvam is not necessarily Sattva that is freed of Rajas and Tamas. This many acharyas explain. It is not that because all of us have a mixture of the modes, right? Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. It is not that now when we attain that quality of Sattva which is freed of Rajas and Tamas, then we become Vishuddha Sattva. Not like that. Vishuddha Sattva is actually a mode in which the modes of material nature, it's a state in which the modes of material nature do not affect a person at all. And he is in pure Krishna consciousness. That is Vishuddha Sattva. So he can be experienced only in such a state. Swatejasa Dhvasta Guna Vyavastham. So I guess it is better to go to the purport now, because otherwise we'll not get time. But anyway, Dhvasta Guna Vyavastham is actually a very wonderful word that Hanuman is using over here. Guna Vyavastha. So there is the Guna Vyavastha within this world, right? Everything is divided into the 3 modes of material nature. When we read the Bhagavad Gita, the 14th chapter to the 17th chapter, and many places of the Bhagavad Gita, it is very clear. Everything within this world can be divided into 3 modes, right? So that is because the Prakriti, which is the predominating deity for materialistic persons within this world, functions through the 3 modes. Prakriti doesn't function by herself. She functions through the 3 modes, right? So there is a Guna Vyavastha within this world. Wherever we go, there is a Guna Vyavastha. But the Lord, by his effulgence, Swatejasa, and by his Prabhava, by his effect, what he does is that Dhvasta Guna Vyavastham. He destroys this Guna Vyavastha for persons who take shelter at his lotus feet. The wonderful word that he is using. So let us go to the purport now, otherwise we'll not get time. So let me read the purport, and while discussing the purport, we'll discuss a little more. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna appears in various expansions as stated in the Brahma Samhita. So a very famous verse which indicates the incarnations of Krishna. Ramadi Murtishu Sakala Niyamena Tishtan Nanavataram Akarod Bhuvaneshu Kit. Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramapumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaha Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda, who is always situated in various incarnations such as Rama and Narasimha and many sub-incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna and who incarnates personally also. Krishna, who is Vishnu Tattva, has expanded himself in many Vishnu forms, of which Lord Ramachandra is one. We know that the Vishnu Tattva is carried by the transcendental bird Garuda and is equipped with different types of weapons in 4 hands. Therefore, we may doubt whether Lord Ramachandra could be in the same category, since he was carried by Hanuman, not by Garuda, and had neither 4 hands nor the Shankha Chakra, Gada, and Padma. Consequently, this verse clarifies that Ramachandra is as good as Krishna. Ramadi Murtishu Kala. So this is actually the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which Prabhupada is quoting over here, because many times we may get a doubt. Generally, the Vishnu Tattva have 4 hands. Even Lord Krishna actually they exhibited 4 hands. Of course, the Gaudiya Vaishnava mode is to worship Lord Krishna with 2 hands. But the Bhagavatam itself says in many places that Krishna actually functioned with 4 hands when he was in Dwaraka. Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we want to worship Vrindavan Krishna, and therefore it is very clear from the Bhagavatam that Krishna had only 2 hands in Vrindavan. But in Dwaraka, he actually exhibited 4 hands. And even when he was about to leave the world, in the 3rd canto, it is explained that he actually had 4 hands. When Maitreya and Uddhava came to meet Lord Krishna in Prabhasa Kshetra, where he left, he actually exhibited 4 hands, right? So Vishnu Tattva generally have 4 hands, but Lord Rama has 2 hands, right? And he was not carried by Garuda, he was carried by Hanuman, right? So many people may get a doubt whether Lord Rama is actually Vishnu Tattva or not. And moreover, Lord Rama never, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he always used to shout as Narayana, Narayana, whenever anybody used to address him as Krishna. So therefore, similarly, Lord Rama also, he never, mentioned himself as the Lord, except for 2 or 3 places. There are only 2 or 3 places in the Ramayana, especially in the Vibhishana Sharanagati section, where Lord Ramachandra, assured that he is in fact the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, he exhibited 2 hands. He didn't have the Shankha Chakra Gada Padma as is mentioned over here, and neither was he carried by Garuda as Vishnu is carried by Garuda. So, is Lord Rama equivalent to Vishnu? Many may get doubts. Of course, he is equivalent to Vishnu. Those who don't have Shastra Pramana may speak such words, but those who have studied the Shastra, those who have studied the Mula Vedas, the Upanishads, they have studied the Vedanta Sutras, and they have studied Ramayana, they can be rest assured that Rama is none other than the Supreme Personality Godhead. And here, Prabhupada is mentioning the same, that Ramadi Murtishu Kala. Kala means part. Kala and Amsha. Kala is known as a part, and Amsha is called a part of a part. So therefore, Ramadi Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tishtan. Niyamena Kalaha Ramadi Murtishu Tishtan. So Krishna's parts and parcels are none other than all these incarnations. Right? So as Bhagavatam also says, which is our Paribhasha Sutra, Ete Chamsha Kalaha Pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So all the incarnations that were discussed in the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto, around 22 of them are discussed. All of them are either Kala or Amsha of Krishna. But Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. Right? So let us go ahead now. Although Krishna is original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ramachandra is not different from him. Ramachandra is unaffected by the modes of material nature, and therefore he is Prashanta. This is one of the words that is used in the verse, right? He is one of the adjectives that is used by Hanuman. So he's called Prashanta. He is never disturbed by these modes. Okay, let me just come out of the screen share. I will read myself so that my video is visible hereafter. So, just a second. Yeah. So Lord Rama is called Prashanta because the 3 modes don't disturb him. So the 3 modes disturb a person who is affected by them, right? A person who remains unaffected, although the 3 modes are in action or they act on him, he remains peaceful, right? So this is the actual definition of peace. There are many definitions of peace according to Bhagavad Gita also. Bhoktaram yajnatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram sukhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. One who knows these 3 truths about Krishna is peaceful. Another very wonderful meaning of Prashanta is that the 3 modes do not affect a person, right? So this applies not just to the Lord, it also applies to the pure devotees, because the pure devotees are not disturbed by the 3 modes. The pure devotees, they are transcendental to the 3 modes. Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitya etan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. They are on the platform of Brahma Bhuta, and therefore they are not disturbed by the 3 modes of material nature, and therefore they can also be called as Prashanta. Unless one is saturated with love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot appreciate the transcendental value of Lord Ramachandra. One cannot see him with material eyes. So this is one very important point that is discussed over here. Because here in this verse, you can see that the Lord is addressed as Anama. Anama means what? One who doesn't have a name. Right? So the impersonalists, they actually wait to, get these kinds of, definitions or adjectives for the supreme absolute truth. Anama, Arupa, Alila, these kinds of many different words, which indicate that the supreme absolute truth doesn't have any name. neither does he have any pastimes, neither does he have any form. So this kind of words are used in the Vedic literature. We cannot deny them because they are there in the Vedic literature. Forget about every other literature. It is there in the Bhagavatam itself over here, right? In the Bhagavatam, which is considered to be the it's considered to be the summum bonum of all other Vedic literature, right? Purusha Samhita. But still, even here we find this kind of words, anama. What does it indicate? Right? This was for the first time shown in his commentaries by Sripad Ramanujacharya, because Ramanuja's main motive was to refute the Shankara's perspective, because Shankara presented all of this as indications that the Lord is actually impersonal. Anama Arupa, Arupa especially, without a form, without a name. Very clear indications that the Supreme Absolute Truth is impersonal. But Ramanuja showed that actually these are indications that the Supreme Absolute Truth doesn't have a material name. It doesn't have a material form. Neither does he have material. Of course, you cannot call it as pastimes. He doesn't act materially, right? He doesn't have material actions. So this is how we should understand. So here again, we cannot see the Lord with our material eyes. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santas sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. Right? So let me go ahead with the purport, otherwise I cannot complete the purport. There are so many things to discuss over here. So purport says, because demons like Ravana have no spiritual vision, they considered Lord Ramachandra an ordinary Kshatriya king. Yeah, so this is another perspective. Just like there were many, many kings, there was King Harishchandra, in whose Vamsha Lord Ramachandra came, right? Harishchandra also came in the Surya Vamsha. If you read the 9th canto, there is an entire description of the Vamsha or the dynasty of Lord Rama. And when Lord Rama's turn comes, there 2 chapters are dedicated for the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. And similarly, there's a huge description, a very elaborate description of the Vamsha of Lord Rama, which Vishwamitra himself talks about in the Balakanda of Ramayana. Right? So there were many, many kings. There was King Sagara, there was King Dilipa, there were King Amshuman, Asamanjasa. There were so many kings. So just like them, the Lord Ramachandra was another king. If anybody considers like that, he is considered to be a Pashandi. So Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Daivataihi Samatvenaiva Pashyeta Sapashandi Bhaved Dhruvam. This is very often quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Prabhupada quotes this in many, many purports also. One who considers, forget about kings, forget about all these kings. If one equates the Lord Vishnu or Lord Narayana with even Brahma and Rudra and Adi Devatas and other Devatas, forget about the kings of this world, he should be considered a Pashandi. He should be considered as good as an atheist, right? So therefore, let us go ahead with the purport. Ravana therefore attempted to kidnap Lord Ramachandra's eternal consort Sita Devi. So why did Ravana attempt to do that? Because he considered Rama to be none other than a mortal, just like any other Kshatriya king. Actually, however, Ravana could not carry off Sita Devi in her original form. As soon as she was touched by Ravana's hands, she gave him a material form, but she maintained her original form beyond his vision. Therefore, in this verse, the words Pratyak Prashantam indicate that Lord Ramachandra and his potency, the goddess Sita, keep themselves aloof from the influence of the material energy. So the word Pratyak here refers to being transcendental. So neither can Lord Rama or Mother Sita be realized by material vision, right? So therefore, one cannot simply go to the temple and say that I took darshan of the lordships, right? Therefore, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, which all of us are aware, that don't try to see Krishna, please Krishna in such a way that Krishna wants to see you. In other words, we go to the temple in not necessarily to see Krishna. Of course, that is one of the objectives by which we get purified. But more so, we go to be seen by Krishna. Right? This is the perspective of a devotee. This is how Saraswati Thakur explained. That we go to the temple to be seen by Krishna, to be seen by Lord Ramachandra. So, therefore, in the Upanishads, it is said, Yamaivaisha Vrunute Tena Labhyaha. So, all these verses are actually quoted by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and it is quoted as it is by Prabhupada. So, Prabhupada has followed very faithfully in the footsteps of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in this verse especially. So all of us know this verse also. The Upanishads say that Nayamatma Pravacanena Labhya Na Medhaya Na Bahuna Shrutena Yamevesha Vrunate Tena Labhya Tasyesha Atma Vivrunate Tanum Swam. A very famous verse. Prabhupada again quotes in many verses, many purports. Here again is quoted that the Supreme Lord cannot be known by Pravachanas. Nayamatma Pravacanena Labhya. So here Atma can refer to either the soul or the Paramatma also. So I cannot even know myself by simply lecturing about myself. About myself means lecturing about the Jiva Tattva from the Bhagavad Gita, second chapter. That Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Pavakaha, Nachainam Kledayantyapaha, Nashoshaiti Maruta. All these characteristics of the soul, I simply by lecturing one after the other, I cannot realize the soul, right? Forget about realizing the Paramatma, the Paramatma, right? So, just like Prabhupada says that there is Anna and Paramanna. You must have heard some of lectures where Prabhupada says Anna means normal rice, Paramanna means sweet rice. So similarly, Atma is the soul, Paramatma is a super soul. So I can never know either the Atma or the Paramatma by simply lecturing about either of them or both of them. And Nayamatma Pravachanena Labhya Na Medhaya. I cannot know Atma or Paramatma by my intelligence. Na Bahunashrutena. I cannot even say that I will hear so much. Of course, Shravanam is the basic process for all devotees. We cannot say that I will give up Shravanam anyway. I cannot know the Atma by Shravanam or Pravachanam. Not like that. But we should be aware of the fact that it is not that I will hear so much about the Atma or hear so much of the Paramatma that I will realize the Atma or the Paramatma one fine day. No, it doesn't work like that. It happens only when the Lord chooses to do so. That's what the next two lines say. Yamevaisha vrunute. Vrunute means to choose. So the one whom the Lord chooses, when we hear from him, then I can understand what is the soul and what is the super soul, the Atma and the Paramatma. Yamevaisha vrunute tena labhya tasyaisha Atma vivrunute tanum swam. I can understand that I have been engaged in this body. Tanu means body. I have been engaged within this body as the soul. When can that happen? When I realize that I have to hear from a person whom the Lord has chosen. That is the Guru. Right? A very beautiful verse of the Upanishads. Prabhupada is quoting over here. The Supreme Lord Paramatma, the personality of Godhead, can be seen or perceived only by persons who are saturated with devotional service, as stated in Brahma Samhita 538. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santasadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shama Sundara, situated within the heart of the devotee. Similarly, in the Chandogya Upanishad, it is stated, Etaha Tisro Devata Anena Jivena Namarupe Vyakaravani. So this again is quoted by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So this is an explanation of the word Anama. Anama that is used for the Lord. So why is this word used? We need to understand that actually Sridhara Swami has given a definition of the word Nama, name. What is name? I don't remember. His Grace Gaurang Prabhu quotes many times. I don't remember that definition. But he says that names are given within this world in order to recognize objects or in order to recognize persons, right? So why should a fan be called a fan? Because we need a name by which everybody can recognize and they can understand and they can communicate to each other that this object, I am referring to this object when I am saying this name, right? So names are given in order to recognize and for the purpose of communication in this world, right? And therefore names come within this world only after the Pancha Mahabhutas are created. This is what this verse says. It is also explained by Ramanuja in his commentary to 13.2 in the Bhagavad Gita. If any of you get time, you can read that commentary, a very elaborate and beautiful commentary in which Ramanuja explains how names are given in this world. So, etas tisro devata anena jivena atmana nama rupe vyakaravani. This is another Upanishadic verse which is quoted. Tisro devata. Here devata refers to the fundamental three elements that is quoted in the first verse of Bhagavatam. Tejo, Vari, Mridam. Tejaha, Vari and Mrit. Mrit is earth. Vari is water. Tejas is fire. So everything that we see within this world is actually a combination of these three elements. Of course, we can elaborate and say the Pancha Mahabhutas, which actually also includes the air and the Akasha. So when different transformations in different permutations and combinations of these three elements or these five elements exist within this world, and when they are created within this world, that time in order to recognize those objects, we give names. Correct, no? It's a very wonderful, a very deep point. Why are names given? In order to recognize objects. How are these objects made? They are made of these three elements only. Tejaha, Vari and Brit. So therefore, these names which are given to these objects are material. Why? Because they are used to indicate objects which are material in nature. Right? However, the Lord is not like that. The Lord cannot have a name for indicating a material object, because his form itself, as is the form of every soul in its true form, is Satchidananda. To indicate that, the name Anama is used in this verse. Right? That's how Chakravarti Thakur explains. And Ramanujacharya actually explained in 13.2 very elaborately this point, and as quoted by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur over here. So let us go ahead in the purport now, just a few more lines. In this verse of the Chandogya Upanishad, so this verse is from Chandogya Upanishad, the word Anena is used to distinguish the Atma and Paramatma as two separate identities. The words Tisro Devata, Tisraha Devataha. Tisraha is actually, Devata is a feminine word, so Tisraha means three. So that also is feminine. So Tisraha Devataha indicate that the body of the living entity, the words Tisro Devata indicate that the body of the living entity is made of three material elements, which is fire, earth, and water. Although the Paramatma enters the heart of the Jivatma, who is influenced and designated by a material body, the Paramatma has nothing to do with the Jivatma's body. Because the Paramatma has no material connections, he is described as Anamarupam Niraham. So another word that is used over here, that is the last word that we will explain over here, and which is explained in the purport, Niraham. Aham means it refers to Ahankara, which is ego. One who is absolutely free of this ego, this false ego, he is called Niraham. Many of you must have heard that famous pastime of Kanakadas also, where he says to Vyasatirtha that I will, if I can go, then I will go back to the spiritual world. So it is a pastime, it is elaborate pastime. I'm sure many of you know, where Vyasatirtha asks everybody who will go back to Godhead. And then when he asked Kanakadasa to tell everybody to indicate who will go back to Godhead. And Kanakadasa, when it comes to the turn of Vyasatirtha, he says that you also will not go back to Godhead. And when Vyasatirtha asks him that, will you go back to Godhead? Then Kanakadasa says that, if I can go, then I will go. That means that if that I-kara, that's Ahankara can go, then I will go back. Right? It's a very beautiful thing. So here, Niraham means without those false designations. Ahankara simply means designations. We identify ourselves with many things within this world, and that is called Ahankara. Right? So one who is free of that, he is called Nirahaha. So Niraham means one who is free of those false designations or from that false ego. So there's one more meaning of Niraham, which is given by Chakravarti Thakur, which is explained by Prabhupada also over here. We will read that. So going ahead in the purport, the Paramatma has no material identity, whereas the Jivatma does. The Jivatma may introduce himself as an Indian, American, German, and so on, but the Paramatma has no such material designations, and therefore he has no material name. The Jivatma is different from his name, but the Paramatma is not. His name and he himself are one and the same. So this is another explanation. There's yet another third explanation also, but Prabhupada is giving this explanation that there is no difference between the name Krishna and the person Krishna, and therefore Niraham. Because Krishna is addressed as Nama Abhinnatvam Nama Namnaha. Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinnatvam Nama Namnaha. Nama and Nami, two words. Nama is the name, and Nami is the person who possesses that name. Abhinnatvam. There is no difference between the name and the one who possesses that name, and therefore is called as Krishna or Rama. Right? So next he says, this is the meaning of Niraham, which means without material designations. this word cannot possibly be twisted to mean that the Paramatma has no ahankara or I-ness or identity. He has his transcendental identity as a supreme. Yeah, so this is another thing that has to be understood. It is not that the I-ness itself doesn't exist in the Supreme Lord. Ahankara is still there, but Niraham means that he doesn't have false ego, right? There is no false material designations, the idea of false material designations within the Supreme Absolute Truth, but that idea of oneness is retained, right? Just like the Jivatma also. Right now we have false ego, we have to come to the true ego. What is true ego? True ego means to identify myself as a servant of Krishna. So when I identify myself as a servant of Krishna, that I-ness still remains. It doesn't go away, but it is in the pure state and therefore it is perfect, right? So going ahead, this is explanation given by Srila Jiva Goswami according to another interpretation. So now coming to the third explanation of Niraham, given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Niraham means nishtayena aham. So nihi. So aham means I, and nihi is a prefix that is used. Upasarga it is called in Sanskrit. So Samskrita it's called upasarga. Nihi aham becomes niraham. So that nihi is explained as nishtayena aham. Very wonderful explanation. So it means Niraham does not mean that the Supreme Lord has no identity. Rather, the stress given by the word aham proves strongly that he does have his personal identity. Nishtayena aham. So nishtayena aham means that I only am addressed over here, right? So I only who have the I-ness of being the Supreme Lord, I am addressed over here. The stress given by the word aham proves strongly that he does not have his personal identity, because nir not only means negative but also means strong ascertainment. So that is the elaborate commentary that Prabhupada has given. Very wonderfully, whatever the acharyas have explained, that is explained in simple, very lucid words by Srila Prabhupada. So I'll just recite this verse again and then we'll conclude. There are many other points to be told, especially about the last verse and this verse, because Lord Ramachandra's pastimes are unending, but better to stick to Srila Prabhupada's purport, which is philosophically explaining the tattva behind Lord Ramachandra. So he says, Yattad vishuddhanubhavamatramekam svatejasa gunavyavastham pratyak prashantam sudhiyopalambhanam hyanama-rupam niraham prapadye. Prapadye means I seek complete shelter in such a person who is a vishuddhanubhava matra. He is eka. He has destroyed all the guna vyavastha, dhvasta guna vyavastha, swatejasa dhvasta guna vyavastha. He is pratyak. He is prashanta, sudhiya upalambhanam. So this was not explained in the purport. So I'll just speak one line. Sudhiya means with proper intelligence. Dhi means refers to intelligence. So with proper mindset, with proper intelligence only, you can approach the Lord. Upalambhanam means upalabhyate, upakramate. It means to approach. You can approach the Lord only with a proper mindset of following in the parampara system, as given by all our acharyas down to Srila Prabhupada. He Anamarupa. He is also Anamarupa because he has no material name. So therefore it's called Anamarupa. And Niraham. And he is Niraham. He doesn't have false material designations within him. And he is strongly ascertained as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So such a person is whom I take shelter of. That's how Hanuman prays in this wonderful verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is 8:13 now, so I'll conclude over here. Thank you everybody whoever is participating in this wonderful forum. I seek forgiveness if I have spoken anything wrong. I'm quite young as compared to all the devotees over here. So if there is any corrections or any comments anybody would like to offer to whatever we discussed, you are welcome to. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful narration of Lord Ram's pastime and the philosophy of Lord Ramachandra. So I request the devotees to share the comments or reflections or questions as you may have, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandvat Pranam. there's so much and so many things, and we have to recollect what you have told. And as usual, you give us a lot of material. We have to listen to it once again to understand. Prabhu, this the word Uttama Sloka is usually referred to Krishna. It is also used for Rama because they are same avatars of the avatari.
Yes, Mataji, it can be referred to any Vishnu Tattva. It can be used in reference to any Vishnu Tattva. In Bhagavatam, generally it is used in reference to Krishna in the 10th canto. But we see when other pastimes of the Lord are described, like in 3rd canto, Varahadev is addressed, in 7th canto, Nrsimhadev is also addressed as Uttama Shloka. It can be used in reference to any Vishnu Tattva, Mataji.
Okay. So most of the words, even Asamurtha, I think they're all used for them.
Yeah, correct. Any Vishnu Tattva, all these words can be used.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. Thanks for the wonderful class, Prabhu. And so many things have to sink into our mind, Prabhu. And as I said, the four-handed form is also shown in the universal form, no, Prabhu, in the 11th chapter. Krishna shows his four-hand form and then he comes back to Saumya Rupa. So I just remembered that, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Yeah, correct. Actually, this I wanted to mention. It's good that you mentioned it. In the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna shows the universal form, and then Arjuna requests that please come back to the four-handed form first. Tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena, he says. Please come back to the four-handed form. Of course, in other sampradayas, they say that was the form in which Krishna functioned even in Kurukshetra. Because Arjuna says, Tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena. But however, in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, because we relish the two-handed form of Krishna, so therefore, after that, when Drishtvaemam Manusham Rupam Saumya Rupam Janardanaha, I guess in the immediate next verse, when it is described, Sanjaya describes that, Arjuna says that Drishtvaemam Manusha Rupam, after having seen your human-like body. It may not say two-handed form, but because it says human-like body, therefore Prabhupada says in the purport that this is the original form of Krishna there in the Kurukshetra also, So it's just the mood. So Krishna actually functioned in both the forms. In Vrindavan, it is rest assured, everybody accepts that he was in two-handed form only. Because when Krishna appeared within this world, he appeared with four hands. That is also clear in the Bhagavatam in the 10th canto. But Devaki requested, in the Vishnu Purana also it is expressed, it is explained that Upasamhara means please get rid of your two extra hands. Why? Because Kamsa is searching for you to kill. And every child that has appeared till now, all the 6 children he has killed, even though they had just 2 hands. Now, if you appear with 4 hands, it will be extremely clear to him and he will want to kill you at any cost. So therefore, please get rid of your 2 hands. Therefore, Krishna appears in two-handed form that time as a baby. And then he is transferred to Vrindavan. To Gokula and then to Vrindavan. So when he was in Gokula or in Vrindavan, till the time he came back to Mathura, it is very clear that he had two-handed form, and that is the form which Gaudiya Vaishnavas relish, the Balakrishna form, right? And therefore, we want to, and Balakrishna and Kaishora Krishna, especially Kaishora Krishna, because we are in the mood of worshipping, in the mood of gopis, right? So that is Kaishora Krishna. So they even there, of course, Kaishora Krishna also has 2 hands only, because till the time he comes back to Mathura, at least very clear. But others, acharyas or other sampradayas, they say that they may not be pramana for this, but they say that in Mathura, when he came back, he assumed 4 hands. And in Dwaraka, of course, he had 4 hands. It is very clear even from Bhagavatam. So it's just the mood. And of course, as you said, Arjuna requests Krishna to come to the 4-handed form and then to the 2-handed form, as Prabhupada explains. Thank you for that reference.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Any other comment? Anybody? Or shall we close here? I think we can end.
There are no questions for both. We can end today's session with Vaishnava Pranam. Kalpatarubhyasya Kripasiddhu
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Amta Koti Vaishnava. Jai Gaura Parimanande, Hari Hari Bo. Thank you again. And I will end today's Zoom session, and we will meet tomorrow morning, same time.